1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. For information on fire recovery resources, recovery hubs, and available services, call 211 for the City of Los Angeles and 311 countywide. Aid distribution locations, repopulation updates, and safety rules are constantly changing. Visit the LA City and LA County websites for the latest. If you'd like to sign up for the county's free debris removal, fill out a right of entry form, or get a list of disaster recovery centers that are still active, please visit recovery.lacounty.gov or call the debris hotline at 844-347-3332. If you're vulnerable to mudslides with rain in the forecast, free sandbags are being offered. Go to lacounty.pw/sandbags to find out where to get them. Businesses who have lost their facilities due to the fires can use a regional online source to get free or discounted locations. Whether you're interested in donating or finding space, you can visit the business-to-business Space Share portal at spaceshare.lacounty.gov. Additional LA County small business support and programs can be found at opportunity.lacounty.gov. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the power's even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds for deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time my best align.
You are listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Don't you love that song? I love that song. Thank you, Common. Thank you, Raphael Sadiq. We are intending to get it right each and every day. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm your host and Chief White House Correspondent, Dr. Nii-Quartelai. And look, weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. You should be tapping in More Perfect Union. We're your one-stop shop for a political news digest. And we also enjoy stretching out with people that are shaping our culture each and every day through their work and witness. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. All you got to do is type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and boom, bam, boom. I pop right on up. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app. That way, you can listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll always have us right there in the palm of your hand. And speaking of the palm of your hand, you now have the opportunity to get a Cowboy Carter tour ticket in your hand. Variety reporting that Beyonce revealed her Cowboy Carter tour dates. We can't get enough of Beyonce. We were talking about her yesterday in our post-Grammy conversation. And the internet is still all the rage about the 22-show run that will kick off in April with 4 nights right here in Los Angeles at the SoFi Stadium before she proceeds to Chicago and then East Rutherford, New Jersey, before she heads overseas to London and Paris. Before coming back to do shows in Houston, Washington, D.C., and Atlanta. And so, look, you know there's a pre-sale situation. So go ahead and get that together, organize your group chat, and I'll see you there. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. But first things first, this dumpster fire doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. The Grio reporting that Target's diversity, equity, and inclusion drama just got messier. And now investors, get this, they want their money back. You can't make this stuff up. Target's ongoing DEI controversy just took a legal turn. The retail giant, along with CEO Brian Cornell and its current and former board members, is facing a class action lawsuit accusing them of misleading investors about the financial risks tied to the company's diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The class action lawsuit filed by the city of Riviera Beach Police Pension Fund in Florida claims that Target issued, quotes, false and misleading statements regarding its DEI, environmental, and social policies. According to Reuters, the shareholders filing also states that the company defrauded them into paying inflated stock prices and unknowingly supported leadership's, quotes, misuse of investor funds to serve political and social goals. The lawsuit also references Target's controversial 2023 LGBT Pride campaign. As previously reported by our friends at the Grio, the retailer found itself at the center of a culture war when it debuted its Pride-themed merchandise, only to later pull select items after in-store confrontations raised safety concerns. This, of course, sparked some more outrage, both from those who opposed the collection and those who felt betrayed by the removal. And so, you know, this is a plot twist that we're going to have to get into on an episode soon with one of our legal experts, because how Target handles this will send a message to a number of other companies in terms of how they might handle it. Remember, there are a number of people who sort of stepped away from their DEI commitments. And so what we see in this class action lawsuit is stepping away doesn't necessarily mean that those issues go away. And so we'll be sure to keep our eye on that. But in other news, at least 20,000 federal workers have taken Trump's buyout offer as that deadline nears. USA Today is reporting that, this issue right here, this issue is nowhere near done. At least 20,000 federal employees have accepted the buyout offer that President Trump made to the entire federal workforce before Thursday's deadline. That represents about 1% of the more than 2 million federal employees, below the White House's goal for 5 to 10% to accept these buyouts. But the White House officials said that the number of deferred resignations is rapidly growing, and the White House expects the largest spikes in sign-up to come in the next 24 to 48 hours before the deadline. In a push to drastically reduce the size of the federal workforce, the U.S. Office of Personnel Management just last Tuesday offered all federal employees 8 months of pay and benefits through September if they resign by February 6th. The offer, which came in this mass email to all employees, is a part of billionaire tech entrepreneur Elon Musk's effort to gut the federal bureaucracy and reshape the government through his Department of Government Efficiency. Now, layoffs across the federal government are likely if not enough employees take this buyout. That's what some folks are saying. That's what was said, at least in an email to the GSA staff that was also reported. And so we're going to see, is this one big old bluff? What about folks' labor protections? A lot of federal employees are a part of unions. And so how is that factoring in to all of this? Might we see lawsuits by state attorney generals, particularly the attorney general in the District of Columbia? This story isn't close to being over, but we will continue to keep our finger on the pulse of it. When we come forward, I am delighted to switch gears, stretch out, and welcome two really good friends that are also incredible leaders in the community. And They are voices that are shaping the culture right before our very eyes. Greg Mathis Jr. and his husband, Elliot Cooper, are going to be joining us to talk about their wedding. They're talking about some plans for this upcoming Valentine's Day, a new movie. And if you didn't know, Greg Mathis Jr. actually used to work on Capitol Hill, and so he has a thing or two to say about the Trump administration takeover. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Greg Mathis Jr. and Elliot Cooper when we come forward.
Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-550-9651. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and you're looking at Greg Mathis Jr. and Elliot Mathis Cooper. That's what it looks like on the screen. You're looking at this phenomenal couple here, actor Greg Mathis Jr., that is, and Elliot Cooper, who, if you didn't know, is a force in his own right as an engineer and business executive. Guys, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having us. Now, before we get started, my friend, I heard you saying something about having tickets to the Cowboy Carter tour. Is that what I heard earlier?
Is that
Are
right?
you about to surprise me with an invitation to
No,
be
no,
in your
no. I thought
box?
I heard you saying that you had tickets for newlyweds who were joining the show today.
Right. Exactly. Let us know.
I'm sorry. Let me go check your wedding registry. I didn't see the Cowboy Carter option.
Yes, select it.
Well, it's so great seeing y'all, and congratulations. I mean,
Thank
y'all
you.
just got married, and you all didn't do just a little old wedding. I mean, I'm minding my Black business, and I walk by the newsstand, and there y'all are, all up in People magazine.
Yes.
And the photographs on social media looked amazing, surrounded by an intimate group of friends and family. I know y'all are really family oriented. We saw that on Mathis Family Matters.
You got it.
And we saw it again in those wonderful pictures. Talk about your wedding. What did it mean to finally say I do?
Go ahead.
I mean, look, so we have been together for 10 years, and it was exciting. It's like the icing on the cake, right? I will say for me personally, obviously I'm in love with Elliot, but even just beyond that, peeling back the layers for me as Greg, just Greg individually, marriage wasn't something I always thought was going to be in the cards for me. I think as a kid, I kind of knew, once learning who I was, and even if I didn't share it with the world, just growing up as a gay young man, gay child, you don't necessarily think about marriage. You're kind of in a, I grew up in a state of thinking I don't really know what my future looks like when it comes to marriage and family. And so in addition to just having the the blessing of Elliot and being able to really recognize our love for each other and start our family officially, I think there was definitely something to be said, and just the emotion of the moment of really coming full circle and having that special day that I never thought would have, that I would have as a child.
Yeah, I mean, it was special, man. Like, just to have the family there and keeping it that intimate just, kind of shows, to your point, like how important it is to us and reinforce why it is. And it just it also gives like the sanctity, when it comes to marriage. And, like we always felt connected already, right? So by having people that we know are connected to us already there as well, it just, took it to a whole nother level where we were more confident to pursue other goals that we have as a unit.
And one of the things that we did do, as you know, even though the pictures were everywhere, we kept it intimate. We kept it just to immediate family. We had a couple cousins there. But that was important to us because I think we talked about it a lot. A lot of our friends, as you can imagine, were not happy. They expected this big blowout party that everybody was going to be able to come to. But it was really important for us to keep it intimate because our families had only met once before. And as you mentioned, we're really family oriented. And so it was a special weekend for us to be able to spend that entire 4-day stretch with just 16 people total. And so we went four-wheeling, we did all the excursions. We got married in Cabo, and so we did all the excursions you would imagine could take place down there.
Right.
And that was really special. That was,
Don't forget about the food too.
The food was amazing. You probably have more to say about that. And what I will say is I appreciated the intimate wedding ceremony, that it didn't go by like this. We actually got to savor each moment. We got to talk to everyone that was there and spend time with them. And having both of our fathers there meant a lot. Elliot's mom unfortunately passed away his senior year in college, and we were able to honor her during the ceremony. But definitely having both of our fathers and my mom there meant a lot.
It does.
I mean, I think that's beautiful, and I want to lean in on this because it's not often that we get to talk to, Black gay men, who have been on their own personal journey of acceptance of oneself. And embraced by community. But talk to us about, the relationship with your fathers and how that relationship developed over time to the point where, they wanted to be there on your wedding day. They wanted to be photographed, and they wanted to be there to love on y'all. Anybody who spent a second with your dads, particularly Greg Mathis Sr., knows how much he loves both of you. and he will chin check anybody who comes at you sideways, right? And
Amen.
I suspect the same is true for your dad, Elliot.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
talk to us about how that relationship got to that point where that love, it's not that mama's gonna knock you out, that love may knock somebody out.
They both would now. Mom and dads would probably try to knock you out, literally. But to answer your question, like for me, my relationship with my dad has always been me learning from him. And I feel like in my transition of being myself and being more open, I think that he was starting to learn from me and how to be more vulnerable and how to be open. And I think when I finally told him about Greg and I think he saw a strength, another strength that I had, outside of losing my mom at an early age and, coming to him, telling him about my love for Greg, it gave him a confidence as well in me. And then I saw that even more, to your point, like when he went, when he took these pictures or when he's, in People magazine and when he agreed to, actually participate in the wedding, and do, the officiating and things of that sort. So I think for my relationship with my dad, it was like an exchange, as far as in how much I've learned from him, and growing up. And then I feel as though he at least saw the courage in me and learned from me how things in the South, as much as it, how critical it can be and how things are said in its own minutia, are not as big when it comes to your blood or your family and how important they are to you. So I think that's the biggest piece, especially when it comes to my dad. Outside of having this, the strong, outward appearance and being a man's man and all these types of things. Like I think the vulnerability piece and being able to show that was a big piece of coming to the wedding and participating with Greg and I.
What about you, Greg Jr.? You and your dad have a really special relationship. Have you always felt comfortable, letting him into, this journey of discovery for you, or did it take some time?
No, I love this question because I'll start by saying that I always find it interesting that my dad is that there is so much emphasis placed on the fact that someone is simply loving their child, because that should be the norm. That should be the standard, to love your child, love anybody, love any other human being that you've built a relationship with. And so, that always is a little bit interesting to me. But I would say throughout the course of my life, the one thing that I have always admired about my dad, especially as I've grown older, is that my dad didn't grow up with a father in the house. He grew up, raised by a single mother, 4 boys, Herman Garden projects in Detroit. He didn't have a model for what this looked like, And if we're talking about stereotypes, I think the stereotype would be man raised in the projects, hyper masculine environment, single mother. My father was in gangs as a youth, turned his life around, but that sticks in you. And so just the fact that he did not grow up with this type of model, but was able to really throughout my life pour into me, pour into my siblings, and really show us what it looks like to love unconditionally. That's a really big thing. And I think, I don't know if he realizes how big it is, or I think people have now told him and woken him up to that. But I think there's something to be said about empowering your children when you raise them. Parents aren't God. Parents aren't God, and we can't decide for our children who they are or what they are. And what I can say is that I've only lived, in the way that God has made me to live. And the fact that my father has been courageous enough to not only just love me throughout my entire life and make me feel so comfortable, but to go a step beyond and to really open up an avenue for other parents to do the same for their children and to start a conversation that really has people ask some hard questions. It's not an easy conversation. It really means a lot, because he doesn't have to do any of this at the end of the day.
Well, speaking of parents, we know that Valentine's Day is coming up. And, your parents have been in the news. It was first reported, that your parents were splitting up. And then a miracle seemed to happen because it was announced that your parents were getting back together, right? And a lot of people out there want to interview your parents and want the full story on this, myself included. And so, Mr. Mathis, you are welcome here anytime to, take us on the journey as much as you would like. But Greg, I want to give you an opportunity to just sort of share what you and Elliot sort of gleaned from your parents' marriage and their recent reunification. What did you learn from that?
Yeah, I think I'm not gonna let you get me in trouble with Greg and Linda here, but I, I think what I've always seen and learned is that love and relationships, they aren't as with anything in life, they take work and they take continual work. And that's one thing that I'm so grateful that my parents have shown me and instilled in me, is that you have to do the work for your relationship. You have to pour into it. And even you and I mean, I know you're married as well, so we've had this conversation about what you water grows. And so I think that that's very important for, they've been such a good example for me. And even what's happened recently, just to see them recommit their love for one another, it's been a really special thing, because I can't remember, what is it? Shoot, 40 years now?
Yeah, it's 39, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and to see them recommit their love for each other in that way, I think, I mean, even more so than just me, it's a great example for America. I think the fact that, it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Well, it's a very beautiful thing to see, and we have more beautiful things to talk about when we come forward, including your new movie. And some folks don't know, but you actually used to work on Capitol Hill in a former life. I'm sure you have a thing or two to say about the Trump administration's transition of power. All of that and more when we come forward with Greg Mathis Jr. and his husband, Elliot Cooper, on love, marriage, and family.
Husband. To be engaged, enlightened, and empowered about issues related to national politics, elections, identity, culture change, and social justice. You tuned into the right place. A More Perfect Union continues when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know with BIN News. All 67 victims of last week's midair collision near D.C. have been recovered. An American Airlines plane and an Army Black Hawk helicopter crashed into the Potomac, marking the deadliest U.S. crash since 2001. Wall Street is closing higher, powered by tech stocks. Investors largely shook off trade war fears, thanks in part to a strong gain in Palantir. Black New York Attorney General Letitia James is warning federal funding recipients not to comply with President Trump's order to block funds. A restraining order halted the move, targeting diversity programs and gender-affirming care. James says denying care may violate state anti-discrimination laws. And St. Louis kicked off Black History Month by raising the Pan-African flag at City Hall, symbolizing Black unity. It is the only major city in the United States to fly the red, black, and green flag for Black History Month. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Commerce, it's a crash on the 5. This is southbound before Garfield. 2 left lanes are blocked and big delays overall loading up, getting out of Burbank from Alameda. It's also tough on that northbound side of the 5. There at the scene, you're busy out of Norwalk from Imperial Highway to the scene of this crash. Also tough on the 60 eastbound in East LA from the 5. It's a slow drive and stretches all the way to the 57 in Diamond Bar. Even the 10 eastbound loads up out of City Terrace from City Terrace Drive all the way to Azusa.
If you were self-employed or a 1099 contractor and missed work because you had COVID or cared for an immediate family member with COVID in 2021, you may qualify for up to $32,000 for the Sick and Family Leave Credit. Visit taxcreditnow.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers introduced Luka Doncic to the LA media Tuesday morning at their training facility in El Segundo. The 5-time first-team All-NBA selection admitted he was initially disappointed that the Dallas Mavericks traded him, but he said it's a dream come true to play with LeBron James. Doncic said LeBron was his idol while growing up in Slovenia. The Lakers were in New York when LeBron learned of the trade late Saturday night. He called the 25-year-old Doncic that night to welcome him to the Lakers family. A strained calf muscle has kept Doncic off the court since Christmas Day. He will not play tonight against the Clippers or Thursday against Golden State. Doncic will participate in a 5-on-5 scrimmage in Wednesday's practice. If Doncic has no setbacks from the scrimmage, he could be ready to make his Lakers debut in Saturday's home game against Indiana. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, now I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
February is Black History Month, a time to celebrate the achievements and resilience of Black communities. But it's important to address health disparities in diseases like asthma. In the U.S., Black Americans are approximately 5 times more likely than white Americans to be hospitalized for asthma. But there's hope. Managing your asthma is possible with regular checkups, using prescribed medications correctly, avoiding asthma triggers, and creating an action plan with your healthcare professional. Take control. Your health is your power. To learn more about asthma, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news of consequence. Informed opinion. Analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580 in afternoon drive time. We're in afternoon drive time here on the West Coast with Elliot and Greg Mathis Cooper, the newlyweds. Is this an exclusive? Is this an exclusive radio interview? Have you never done a radio or podcast interview together as husband and husband?
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, y'all better say it with 10 toes down.
You better get your questions in.
Right. Speaking of.
So you know, we were talking a lot about you all being newlyweds, and we mentioned Valentine's Day, which is right around the corner. Do you feel pressure to celebrate Valentine's Day any differently now that y'all are married?
Well, the crazy part is that we always celebrate a little differently, just because that is our anniversary of when we started dating as well. super cliche, I
Oh.
guess. What is that? We'll say romantic. Let's keep it positive. We'll say super romantic. We actually started dating on Valentine's Day. And so we usually do a trip. This year we're not doing a trip.
Yeah.
But we do have that's what Elliot had put aside earlier, some cookbooks that we're going to use on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I think like when we were, it's not anything, it's no pressure to be honest. Like, I mean, now it's more of like, oh, what do we want to do different? So we always try to stay spontaneous in our relationship in some way or some fashion. So we got like a lot of books from traveling that we usually get a recipe, because we love learning about cultures and stuff like that and how they cook and stuff. So we'll probably pick something out of one of these recipe books, cook it together, because we have learned, even after traveling and stuff like that, we love to be around each other more and learn about each other. So
That's so sweet. That's so sweet. And so I think that you all like to be around each other so much. Talk to us about what you cooked together. What was the first meal that you all cooked together since you traveled around the world collecting cookbooks everywhere you go? What's the first thing you cooked together?
Oh, the first one we cooked together. So
okay. All right.
It might have been spaghetti. I'm not gonna lie. Not super romantic. I think it was. Because for a certain point, you get to the, it's like, hey, we got to keep this going. It's efficiency.
No, it was official though. I'm trying to recall. I thought you were going to ask us the first meal we had together, but like I'm trying to recall. We were official in DC. Like we were in Trinidad, and we would have a menu. We would have like everything listed as far as individually what would each person make. Like one person would have the drinks, one person would do the food, and we would make sure that it's like at least culturally specific. But I think it was something pretty like layman
I remember the first meal I cooked for him by myself because he makes fun of me for it to this day. Because it was a little bougie. I consulted one of my buddies and he gave me a menu of burrata as an appetizer.
Burrata?
Right. Salmon and an arugula salad as the main. And what was the dessert actually? I don't remember what the dessert was, but this is a church affiliated show. We have the church folks listening.
They know what dessert is too.
See, that's you giving a More Perfect Union after hours energy right there. That's right. Listen, let's talk about this movie. Because Greg Mathis Jr., you over here being a movie star. You went from Capitol Hill to Hollywood. We'll get to the Capitol Hill piece in a minute, but talk to us about this new movie. What is it, and when does it come out, and where can we go to watch?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what's funny though? The character I play, which is a nod to my time on Capitol Hill, is actually very politically involved himself. He's a businessman from Oakland. This is the true story, the movie that I'm in. It's a true story. It's a crime biopic, but he is actually cousins to our should have been president Kamala Harris, and so it's going to be exciting to be able to portray him on screen. But the movie is titled Fighting to Be Me, the Dwen Curry Story. Dwen Curry is a woman that was born in Detroit, Michigan, moved out to Oakland, and it tracks her life story. She started off as a troubled youth in the streets, and she eventually turns her life around after going to prison for embezzling money. But the movie is fantastic. I mean, it's a true crime biopic, like I said, so I don't want to give too much away and have the producers get mad at me. It premieres on BET Plus on February 27th, and you can expect to just see like a lot of, like I said, fast action. It's true crime biopic. I play the straight edge character, so I don't go to jail, but a lot of the folks in the movie do.
But you got like a great cast too.
Oh yes, a wonderful cast also. I can't believe I almost missed saying this.
It's a big deal, and we both know Derek Johnson.
Yeah, that's who I play. There you go.
Derek is a friend. We have many friends in common in the Bay Area. And so, I was driving somewhere and I'm on the phone with him and he's talking about this movie. And I said, well, wait a minute. I'm about to talk to Greg Mathis Jr. And he mentioned a remarkably similar movie. Tell me more about it. And he told me about it. And I said, this is sounding very much the same. I know, I'm having a million calls, but I think you're talking about the same movie. Right. He said, Greg. I said, yes, Greg Mathis Jr. He said, Greg plays me.
Yep. And I forget how many friends you have, Nii-Quartelai. There are actually in this movie some fabulous actors. Ones who I'm sure you're friends with as well. Delon Burnside is our lead in the movie. He does a wonderful job in the movie, as well as DB Woodside, very accomplished actor, and one of my personal favorites is AJ Johnson is in the movie also.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
And I got to do scenes with each of them. I think people are really going to love it, so I'm excited to see it premiere.
Yeah.
And again, what's the movie called?
Fighting to Be Me, the Dwen Curry Story.
Well, we certainly can't wait to see it and to support it. Look, this is a fabulous transition that you've made, but for a lot of people who don't know, you did your time on Capitol Hill. You did your time in the U.S. Senate as a staffer. Talk to us about what you remember fondly, operative word fondly, about that experience on Capitol Hill. And what's your take on Trump 2.0?
Yeah, I mean, I could really give you both sides of that because the fond memories are that I worked on the Hill before Trump came in the office, and I was there the first time he came into power as well. And what I can tell you is that the fond memories were all before that. Working on the Hill, not to say that things were perfect, but you were able to get things done. I started working, my first job on the Hill was actually with Jesse Jackson Jr. Shortly after Obama was elected. I think started doing his second term actually. And I think there was, the temperature was much different. The temperature was much different. And even if you didn't always agree with people, you were able to see where the differences were and do your best to work together for the good of the country. I can tell you that, as fond as those memories were, just being around people who really had this nation's best interest at heart, being able to work for someone like Jesse Jackson Jr., who was really about, pushing the people and making sure that we got, healthcare in this country and so many other things that help brown and black people and poor people. And, it is very disappointing to see what's happening now because, like I said, I was there the first time President Trump came into office, and overnight things shifted. The mood in the Senate, I was working in the Senate at that time, it completely changed to where you couldn't get anything done. You could not get anything done. And, you have someone in power who runs government like it's his own personal piggy bank and with no accountability. And I can tell you that even behind closed doors, when I was on the Hill, the folks on the other side don't like that man. They don't like that man. They're afraid of him, as the entire country is now. And so I'll go back to being optimistic. I'll say my only optimism is that we survived the first time and we can survive again. But as you know, we got some work to do.
That's right. And as I often like to say, I think the path to the other side is in community, right?
Yes.
Don't try and weather this storm by yourself.
No.
You find yourself a group chat.
Yep.
Maybe several. Find yourself a physical community of folks that you can be in space with, because it's going to be a long road ahead. But I agree with you. I think we can get to the other side of this. I'm going to ask you all to sort of stick around. When we come forward, it's time for the quiet part out loud. The Advocate reported that the Human Rights Campaign is set to lay off approximately 20% of its workforce in a major restructuring effort in what the group's leadership says is to adapt to the evolving political and financial landscape. I want to get Greg and Elliot's take on where we go from here as a movement. As a movement for racial justice, as a movement for LGBTQ justice. Where do we go from here? We're going to hear it straight from the mouths of the newlyweds, Greg Mathis Jr. and his husband, Elliot Cooper. More when we come forward. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise.
I'm still
This
his
is
line
A
on that
More
one.
Perfect
We have
Union
to
on
dive into
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Kadeen and Deval Ellis for P&G Good every day.
Babe, guess what? We can save big on all our favorite P&G brands like Tide, Cascade, and Febreze. Plus, support great causes every day.
Wait, hold up. You telling me we can save money and feel good about it? How?
Well, remember how Granny and Big Mama used to save money by cutting those coupons out of Sunday papers? Now we just go to pggoodeveryday.com, sign up for P&G's free rewards program, and get exclusive coupons.
Okay, so we can get VIP status and save money.
Exactly. We stock up on the P&G products so you, the boys, and I are good every day, just like our folks did for us.
Well, you better go visit pggoodeveryday.com right now because you got to go buy some detergent and toothpaste and toilet paper.
Me?
Yeah, you. And with all that extra cash, I got to go buy these new sneakers.
It's okay, funny man. You got jokes. Boy, focus on these savings first.
Visit pggoodeveryday.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. And there's no more perfect couple joining me today than Greg Mathis Jr. and Elliot Cooper, the newlyweds. You all have been really extraordinary activists, right? It's really an incredible journey that you've had, from really sort of finding your sea legs and discovering the fullness of your identity, we'll put it that way. Going on that journey with each other, going on that journey with your families, and going on that journey in community. And so, you all have attended and have presented at many a human rights campaign event. But for people who don't know, the Advocate's reporting that Human Rights Campaign is going to be having some layoffs and doing some serious restructuring. We hear that while the decision is not tied to any one factor, Human Rights Campaign officials acknowledge the increasingly hostile political climate as one of the reasons for the shift. And it's not just Human Rights Campaign. There are a number of organizations that are actively considering doing the same thing. And so, I want to ask you all, as folks who have, worked in corporate America, have worked on Capitol Hill, and are activists for racial justice and LGBTQ justice, how are you making sense out of this moment in time that we're in? And how do you recommend some of these legacy organizations sort of, retool in order to make it to the other side of this battle?
It starts with us, and that's what just to folks that are listening, we have to organize, and I love that you use the term activist because we have to all get active and we have to be loud about it. Uh, I will say what's happening with HRC, as you mentioned. I mean, I saw today the NFL took and is going to take in racism off of the field now all of a sudden, and we're seeing all these huge pendulum swings since this president has come in. People afraid to now speak truth to power, and even funding drying up for important organizations that do speak truth to power. And the way you respond to that is that the people who this is impacting, we're seeing this pendulum swing back, and we have to get active now. Because one thing I'm looking at is in 2 years, we have the midterms. Those midterm elections are going to be critical, and we have to win the House and Senate so that we can put a check on Donald Trump's power. That's where it starts with, for me, is making our voices heard. We don't like what we're seeing. It's what is happening is hurting us in so many different ways. And the only way to do it is to organize, get into your community, and to get active and to have a target. My target is the midterms. I say that target needs to be firm for a lot of us because that's how we take back some of the power and make sure that this man realizes that we're not going for what you're talking about. You may have won this election by hoodwinking a few people and tricking some folks, but America is not about what you're talking about. And that's what we have to make loud and clear in 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's very important to, from Greg's standpoint, to understand, what you can do in a more of a verb of an action, right? I also think you have to also consider yourself, right? I've learned, and I go to therapy often, and you should breathe. And I think a lot of organizations as well should take that moment to make sure that you are resetting and you're able to settle down and you're focusing on yourself. And then even with me in corporate America, I have seen the pendulum switch and a lot of folks becoming uneasy and unsettled. But one thing that we do, especially when it comes to corporate America and when it comes to, just in my background, we focus back on what we are good at and what we know and make sure that we can educate ourselves on things that we have the proficiency in. And I think when it comes to voting, especially in the midterms, it is double down, making sure that we are educating the right communities and that we're reaching out and making sure that they understand how it is important for them to get out and vote and actually why and how it does affect them, not just from a tangible piece of what's in their hand, but also to understand how that impacts everything that they're seeing from a corporate standpoint and even with what's happening at the HRC. We love Kelly Robinson there, and congratulations with her, she's pregnant now too.
Yeah, congratulations, Kelly.
Yes. So I feel as though she at the head of this has that mentality and she really has a strategic direction that I think is effective. And we have complete confidence in her. But I think for us to become more active, it is that point of understanding and allowing that president to do what he is doing, but also for us to have that remain focused on okay, let's educate the folks that we know in our community and within our families so that we can make sure the next step and the next opportunity or goal that we have set up, we are prepared.
And I want to note that in this exclusive interview with the advocate, Kelly Robinson, the president of Human Rights Campaign, first Black woman, Black queer woman to lead that organization. She acknowledged the gravity of letting employees go, but she emphasized that HRC's mission remains unwavering, saying, quotes, "Our success has never been determined by the number of staff we have, but by the impact that we make in the world. We need to stay laser focused on how we can create change." And so that is what the leader of HRC, their fierce leader, that is what she is saying and what she's committed to. But in our remaining minutes, I want to ask you a question that I certainly have got over the years. And I'm curious as to how you all respond to this question. For some reason, there are people that think that if you are Black and gay, they wonder, well, which one are you the most? Or which one are you first? Are you Black first? Or are you gay first? I think it is a silly question because I don't think there's a point by which, okay, your Blackness ends and now here comes the gayness, right? But given the journey, the journey of self-discovery that you have been on individually and that you're now on together, how do you all conceive of that question? How do you think of that question? What's your response to that question these days?
I think in a lot of ways it's an unfair question, right? Because so many parts of our Black identity, of my Black identity, my gay identity are intertwined in so many different ways. I don't know that it's fair to pick one over the other, because it's me. Um, and so I always kind of take a little bit of unease with that question because obviously I'm Black, obviously I'm gay. These are both parts of me that I claim, I've grown, particularly in being a gay man, that I've grown to love. I have, fought hard to find my place in this world and a comfortable place so that I can be an example for others. And, the same thing comes with my Blackness, not to say that I was ever uncomfortable about my Blackness like I was about my sexuality, but I think that both, there's a place in this world to where we need to stand strong, be proud, and make sure that everyone who is a part of both of those communities knows that there is nothing wrong with them.
In our remaining minute, Elliot Cooper, I want to give you the final word. How do you, as a South Carolina native, did I get that right?
Yeah, right. Right.
How do you make sense out of that?
Yeah, I think being a South Carolina native, and I'll just say it this way, the recipe for me includes both of them, right? Like you cannot have a cake without flour. You cannot have an egg without, when you're trying to make something. So for me to try to separate the two and to make it into where one comes before the other or they both can't work together is where for me, I wouldn't even answer. I feel as though it is, kind of one of those questions where all of that is me. It's not one that comes before the other. It's both of us as one, as far as in Black and gay. Now, Neek, one thing I did want to say that I didn't get to say earlier in here, where you're talking about our tickets for Cowboy Carter that you were going to give us, but
I said that's a quick.
But we do have a registry open, but it's a charity registry. So if folks want to go to mathiscooper.com, we have a registry open for Better Brothers LA that is down here where we're raising funds for them because, they do give back to the community as well as in scholarships for people in the community, and also for Lupus Foundation of America, where, my mom who passed away from lupus, we're raising money for them to make sure that it can go to the Walk to End Lupus as well as in research to help in lupus for folks that are diagnosed.
Well, we heard it here. My thanks to Greg Mathis Jr. and Elliot Cooper for joining us here, activists on such a wide range of issues. Thank you for all the great work you continue to do in our communities. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the Village that helps us produce a more perfect union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Andy, our show producers, Faraji and Kim, and of course, each and every one of you, our leaders, learners, and listeners. Remember, don't panic, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.